for the closed-end seconds, the person who gave the meaning for Deep Haven just went straight, blah, 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 blah. And Pulido and I felt that it was just so fast that we didn't get the point, or we didn't understood very well what she was talking about. She just talked about a loan, talked about guideline, and that was it. So basically we got the implementation. A closed-end second. So the difference between a closed-end second and a HELOC. So Deep Haven implemented the closed-end second. They just started talking about it. We knew that it was a second loan, and also you know that it's kind of a HELOC. Kind of, but it's not a HELOC. So what are the differences between both of them? And that's what we wanted to talk about in today's meeting, and then just go in questions and answers. And what is the difference between both of them? Both of them are second loans, both of them. The difference between a HELOC is that a HELOC is very similar to a credit card. They give you a credit limit, so you have a credit limit that you can use, and that credit limit you can get the money and return the money and still use it again and return it and use it again and return it, like a credit card. So in my credit card bill, I had to, I paid taxes for a vehicle. I paid it on the credit card. I put $3,000. I didn't know what checking account I was going to use, so I just pulled the credit card and put $3,000 to pay taxes on my vehicle. And I get to the office, I get back, so I move money from my checking accounts, and I pay the credit card. So I pay the credit card back. I still have those $3,000 credit available. So on a HELOC, they give you, for example, $100,000 of credit. And you can use, if you want to, you can use $20,000. If you use $20,000, then you have credit available of $80,000. Now, you might want to use another $10,000 because of XYZ. Then you use another $10,000 and you have credit available $70,000. But then, like me, you move money around on the checking account and you pay back $5,000. If you pay back $5,000, then the credit becomes $75,000. So now you have the credit available, or $75,000. So you can pull money, return money, pull money, return money. That is the HELOC, home equity line of credit. Now, is that clear? Does it make sense? On a HELOC, you only pay for interest only. So you're only making interest-only payments. If you're only making interest-only payments, your payment, obviously your debt is never going to go down unless you pay money back to the principal. Unless you pay money back to the principal. Now, if it's only interest-only payments, when does it end? And that's the secret of the HELOC. When does it end? When am I going to pay the loan back? If I'm only paying interest only. Is it forever? Gonzalo, is it forever?
No, yes. 15, 10 years, depends on the contract.
Okay, that is correct, Gonzalo. So basically, I'm sorry, the home equity line of credit, they have what they call a draw period. The draw period that Gonzalo is talking about, is usually 10 years. So what does it mean? That for 10 years, if I only pull $70,000, I'm paying interest on the $70,000. During 10 years, I only pay the interest. So at the end of 10 years, I'm still going to owe $70,000. But it comes to a point during those 10 years that the line of credit, with what they call the draw period, the line of credit says, okay, now you have to pay me the remaining balance, and I'm not going to allow you in the future, for the next 15 years, to pull money out anymore. So for 10 years, I was able to pull money, return the money, pull money, return the money, or just pay interest only. After those 10 years, I have to pay the loan in the next 15 years. in the next 15 years. And during those 15 years, that second period, you cannot draw money anymore. So basically your balance freezes and you have to pay the remaining balance. Does it make sense? That's basically one of the key secrets of a HELOC. The other key secret of a HELOC is this a variable interest loan. So the rate can change. And the rate can change, basically the rate is made out of two things. So let me just erase everything. Is this one? Now, the rate is made out of a prime rate plus a margin. The margin is the amount that the bank is earning. The bank is always going to make that amount. And the prime rate is whatever the prime rate, the economic indicators are. And that's going to be, so you add in. Right now, the prime rate, so you guys will know, right now the prime rate is at 8.5. So you can imagine that if you're doing a HELOC, the interest rate right now is going to be probably higher than 10%. Probably higher than 10%. The prime rate plus the margin. Now, one thing that I struggle a lot is when I'm competing against credit unions or banks. Because the credit unions and the banks, they tell the clients that you have an introductory rate for the first 3 months or for the first 6 months of 3%. Or some BS like that. Guys, if the client wants to go to a credit union, I tell the client, go to a credit union. The only thing that I can tell you is that after those 3 months, your rate is going to go to 11%, 12%. So yes, they will give you an introductory rate. I bet you that they're say at 3%, 4%, and that's the only thing that they offer. I always say that banks don't lie, but they don't tell you the whole truth. So they don't lie to you, but they say, oh, introductory rate is 4%. They come to us and it says, well, the interest rate is 11%. 11%, the credit union told me 4%. Yeah, but that's an introductory for 4 months. After those 4 months, your interest rate is going to go this high. Why? Because at least the prime rate is 8.5. At least. Question, Mary? So that happens a lot, but trust me, it's going to go up. How high it can go? I believe in all the HELOCs, it can go all the way to 18%, the interest rate. Questions, comments? So one, you can draw the period. The second, the rate is made out of these two. Another thing with the HELOCs is that you cannot even do a HELOC with less than 680 FICO score. So if you go to multiple banks and everything, it's very hard to find HELOCs for less than 680 FICO score, and they don't do HELOCs for investment properties. It's very hard to find HELOCs for investment properties. I don't doubt that there's an investor over there or XYZ. If you check at the interest rate, and you're going to say, if you check at the interest rate, let's just pretend that the margin is 2.5, the prime is 8.5, so we're at 11%. 11%. HELOCs are very common to use and everything, but at 11%, don't you think that you're in the area for a hard money loan? So if anybody says, yeah, I can find a HELOC for an investment property, I can understand that, because hard money loans, if they do 11, 12% on a hard money loan, that's a good investment for them. So I can honestly say, well, yeah, but it's very similar to a hard money loan. Now, the hard money loan, remember, it's only going to give you the loan for 1 or 2 years. But yeah, there will be investors out there. There will be investors that they offer these types of loans for investment properties. but it's in the realm of a hard money loan. Questions, comments? Obviously, if it makes sense for a bank to do a loan, then they will make it. If it makes sense for an investor to do a loan, they will make it. So you will find it out there. The third thing that is very important to know on HELOCs, not with us, but with the banks. It used to be with the banks. Well, I'm not going to say not with us. It used to be in the past. It used to be in the past that if you got a HELOC, the loan officer or the person in the bank who's selling the HELOC would get paid a commission based on what they call the initial draw amount. With us, it's not like this anymore. With us, it's not like this. But if you do a HELOC for $150,000, now this is a credit line for $150,000, and the client might say, well, I only need 50 right now, or I only need 20, because I'm going to buy a house, but I'm going to buy a house in the future, or I'm going to build an ADU. I'm going to build an ADU, but I'm going to build the ADU, and it's not ready. I'm going to submit the permits and everything, but I want to have the line of credit ready. So if you get the line of credit ready, if I give you the loan, you're going to start paying interest right now, if I give you the loan. But client says, well, don't give it to me because I'm just going to build an ADU, the permits are going to last 2 months or 3 months, and then I'm going to start building, so the money I'm going to need it probably in 6 months. So I don't want to pay interest on the first 6 months. But banks, they used to get paid on the initial draw amount. So they want to give the client $150,000. If they give the client $150,000, then boom, the salesperson gets paid on that. We don't do that anymore. We basically get paid whatever you charge on the loan amount. But there is on the bank, on Symmetry, there is an initial draw amount that you have to pull. And the initial draw amount that you have to pull is $50,000. We had a situation, and I'm going to say his name because it wasn't his fault. Ademar had a situation where a client got a line of credit of $100,000. The clients told him that they were going to pull the whole amount of $100,000. So he processed all the loan with $100,000. And then at the very last minute, the client says, you know what? We're not going to pull the $100,000. Just give us the line of credit and then we'll pull whatever money. Ademar told them, hey, the initial draw amount is $50,000. This is okay, we agree, $50,000. For whatever reason, the investor made the mistake. And I saw the paperwork where Ademar submitted and processing, and it was $50,000. But the bank made a mistake, the investor, and they gave him $100,000. They gave him $100,000, and the clients were extremely, extremely upset. Now, logically, you can say, well, just return the money. You return the money, and that's it. Because you can return the money, you get the money, $100,000. The next day that you get the money, you get $50,000, you return it, and you don't pay interest. But they were upset because they were going to pay interest for the first month or the first period that it was there. And they were very, very upset. They were accusing Ademar that he was the one that made a mistake. They were accusing Ademar that Ademar wanted to make a commission. But that was not the case. That was not the case. We talked to the clients. We refund the money for the interest that they paid. Everything was happy. But you have to be very careful of this. Because most of the people that they do line of credits, they want to do the whole amount as a initial draw amount. So talk to your clients and ask them what is the initial draw amount that you want to make, and explain to your clients that minimum is $50,000. Questions, comments? We had another probably mistake, Jorge. I don't know. Don't want to throw you under the bus either, because it was not our mistake. We had a client, and I spoke to you guys about this in the past, that if you have a house and you're buying another one, maybe on this house, you can get a HELOC for the down payment on this new property. So we made a plan with the client, and we say, yeah, we're gonna make a HELOC, and then once we get the HELOC, we're gonna transfer the money to this the down payment. This was actually my mistake. It was a loan for Jorge, but it was my mistake, because I said, well, I'm in the process. I just did the HELOC. We closed the HELOC. He was in escrow. In escrow, we were not going to close in probably 15 days or 20 days. So I said, in order not to make the client mad, I'm just going to do the initial draw for the amount, the minimum draw amount. So let's just pretend that we did a line of credit of 100, and we draw an amount for 50, and he was going to use $75,000. He was going to use $75,000, but I only did 50 because we were going to close in about 15, 20 days. What I didn't know, just so you're aware, what I didn't know is that once we close the HELOC, the money's not available the next day for the other draw amount. They will send some checks to the client, and once the client gets those checks, he can set up an account, and then he can start using the money. But those checks, they come to the client it took about 3 weeks, right, Jorge?
Yes.
So it took about another 3 weeks, and we were just waiting for the checks and waiting for the checks, and the agents, the listing agent and the selling agent, they were so mad. Continued to tell us no, and then I received the checks about a week and a half ago, to make matters worse.
So the first draw, it's wired, it's really fast.
The first draw, when you close escrow, here's your money, the first draw amount.
Through wire.
Through a wire, yes.
And then the second one, it's where they don't do wires, they'll do a check.
Yes, so the second one is not like you can call the bank and say, hey, give me the wire for the other $25,000, or give me the wire. No. You have to wait about 25 days or 20 days, let's just say, until you get your checks. Once you get your checks, you set up an account. Once you set up your account, you can draw money as you wish. But it does take, for the other amount, it does take about 20 days, once you close the loan, to have access to that money. Make sense? Questions? Comments? Now, what is the difference between a HELOC and a closing second? A closing second is a loan. Plain and simple. A closing second is a loan. It's an amortized loan from the beginning. So you can do it 30 years, you can do it 15 years, you can do it 20 years. Deep Haven allows us to do multiple time periods, but it's a second loan. It's interest and principal, and the interest rate is fixed. In the past, for whatever reason, this is not the case. In the past, the interest rate for the closing second was higher than the HELOCs. Why was it higher for the HELOCs? Why do you assume that it's higher on a closing second than the HELOC, Fernanda?
They're going to make less money?
No, because it's fixed. So a fixed interest rate in the past, it was a higher interest rate than a variable interest rate. And it was, the difference was very, very significant. It was about 2 or 3% difference between this interest rate and this interest rate. For whatever reason right now, the closing second have a better interest rate than the HELOCs. They do have a better interest rate than the HELOCs. But this is a fixed loan. This is a fixed loan. The second thing is that it's a loan, and you're going to pay interest and principal from the first day. So if you're going to get interest and principal in the first day, that means that the money is given to you incomplete. So if you do a closing second for $100,000, you will get $100,000, a check. Now the payment, interest and principal payment of $100,000 on an 8%, let's just pretend that is $400. If you return the money, $50,000 you return, then your balance is $50,000, your payment will continue to be $400. Your payment is not going to change. The amount of period that you're going to pay the debt in, if you were doing a 30-year loan, probably you will do it in 15 years or less, but the payment will continue to be the same. The initial payment is always going to be the same, like a regular loan. So on a mortgage payment, in your house, if you're paying $2,000 and you send 2 payments, $4,000, the bank takes $2,000 to principal, $2,000 for your mortgage payment, and the next month you'll receive a payment of $2,000 again. So you always receive the same amount of payment. It's the same case with closing seconds.
The closing seconds in 15 or 30 years?
You can decide. You can decide. So they offer 15, 20, I believe 25 and 30. Yeah, they have multiple terms that they decide. Questions, comments?
Okay. On a HELOC, if for example the borrower return the money to the account, he can continue using the same money, correct?
Yes.
But in a closing second, if he return the money, it's returned and that's it. So
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. That's like a mortgage.
Okay.
Like a regular mortgage. You return the money, you don't have access to the money.
Okay.
Any other questions, Summers?
The closing costs, and then estimate how much it costs.
The closing costs, I don't know what the closing costs are specifically. Now, on both of them, as far as appraisal, they can do an ABA, what they call an ABA, so they can do in a system. If the value is there, then they will not ask you for an appraisal. If they don't feel that the value is there, they will ask you for an appraisal. Symmetry, specifically Symmetry, they have their own title and their own escrow. So it's the closing costs are minimal. If you use a regular escrow, then they're going to be a little bit higher.
The one that you did, do you remember how much it was?
I don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember. I feel like a real estate agent by not knowing. but I don't remember. Now, the closing second, the Deep Haven is offering. Deep Haven, as you know, is kind of like a non-conforming lender. The closing second can do investment properties. And they can do a closing second with bank statements. You have to comply with the ratios, but they can do with bank statements, they can do for investment properties, and they can do with banks without taxes. This is a plus because right now, as you know, the market is very hot. I don't know if Dennis is in the meeting. Dennis is in the meeting. So Dennis deals with a lot of investors, and Dennis is always asking, "Hey, Oscar, can we get money for investors? And can we get money for investors? And do you have a bank that I can get money for an investor because he wants to buy another house and he wants to buy another house?" In the past, I used to tell Dennis no. I mean, HELOCs are only for owner-occupied. Now he can get for investment properties. He can get
What is the minimum FICO on that closing second?
on the FICO on the closing second. Also, the minimum FICO is 680.
You have an estimated rate, like
Pulido calculated an estimated rate, and there is going to be around 9%, I believe so. To be honest, in the system, it's very complicated for me to price those closing seconds. You can price them on the system, but it's one of the things that I always let Pulido price it for me. So if you have questions about pricing, ask Pulido, ask Sarah.
do they have a minimum loan amount?
Minimum loan amount, I don't know from the top of my head.
75.
$75,000, yes. Eso conceito. It's $75,000. And they have terms. For the terms, they have a 10-year loan, a 15-year loan, a 20-year, a 25, and a 30-year loan. So you can decide to whatever term you want to.
Does it have a cap or how much